if you're a young or new artist, don't do this. Because as you watch me draw this today, learn the most fatal habits that will stunt your growth, kill your growth, or altogether kill your desire to even want to make art in the first place. So please avoid these. Now, if you want to know the number one pressure that a lot of artists will feel, especially when they're young, especially when they're just starting out, and especially as they're going to enter other online spaces, and you're going to see loads of other people, you're going to see loads of influencers, even myself, like I am a big promoter of art business, but I just want to be there to tell you that you don't need to have your art be an income source for you. You don't need to have that pressure on top of learning everything and really learning your craft and dedicating your time and your passion towards something that you enjoy. On top of that, needing to collect an income on it. And what I really tend to see that this kind of evolves itself into is it just really taints your overall experience if that's not something that you actually want to do, but you just feel the pressure to do that. I'm going to give you a lot of advice today about why you don't need to do that, or if you do want to do that, how to do it better than most people will. But this big push, this big influence for you to have to make your art income, it doesn't have to be like that. But y'all, please hear it from me if you're not going to hear it from anybody else right now. Art success is not analog like you are or you aren't having art success. There's a lot of different ways that you can achieve this. It doesn't just have to be through business. It doesn't just have to be the way that you make money. It can also just be the fact that you're doing something for yourself and you're not sitting down every single day and doing something that's just wasting your time and blowing your money. And you are instead just heavily involved in this awesome human endeavor that we all really enjoy. Maybe it's that this is your escape from your life. Maybe this is an escape from your job. These are all amazing experiences for you to have and for you to just cherish. And if you don't want to collect an income off it, that's fine. You don't have to think that. You don't have to judge your success based on your monetary success, because that is multifactorial, it's multidimensional, and it's not that simple. So have you felt this pressure before? If so, tell me about it down below from who, because I think that it might be from some of the sources I'm going to lay out in this video too. Let me just give you this big advice, okay? If you want one surefire way to make sure that you're probably going to be miserable in the next 10 years, and that's when you feel the compulsion to need to get paid too early. And what this really wraps itself into is that I see so many times in my comments on my videos, I see them on other videos too, by the way, and they're like 16, 17-year-olds, and they're like, how do I make money? How do I get an income? How do I get commissions? And how do I get paid? And oh, I can't get out of PayPal because my mommy won't let me. And here's just where I want to put this line right here. Y'all, if you're focused on making money and you're not even 18 years old, if you can't even sign up for a PayPal account, that is the sign that you don't need to do that. Y'all, I just look back to myself when I was in that age bracket, and even just, I could put this into a higher age bracket and say when I was 25 years old and younger, okay? The focus on here should not be making money explicitly, okay? Instead of making money, here's what I want to advise you on. You need to just dive into what you actually like, what you actually enjoy, into just cultivating your passions, into you growing your skill sets. And here's the most important thing, grow your curiosity, okay? Go ahead and just dive into things that you're not used to doing and processes that you're uncomfortable with. Because one of the reasons why I've been able to do what I've been able to do, and I would say this is also the same experience for so many other artists, is because we didn't focus on making money. If you focus on making money, I can promise you one thing, you can expect failure. Because if you're gonna enter art just for a paycheck, there are so many other ways that you can do it. And people are gonna pick up on that. Why? Because then you start to become a grifting phony, and you don't want that, do you? Because at the outset of why you like this in the first place, that wasn't it. Another issue that I tend to find is that you're going to be pushed into doing things and getting paid to do things that you're not going to like long term. Why again? Because you're too new at this, or you're too young into this to actually know what the heck you like. Because what that does is it twists and it mangles your initial drive into a money-making endeavor away from a humanistic endeavor. So if you're especially a young artist and you're not even 18 years old, stop worrying about making money. Even if you need it, I'm just gonna be real, go out and get yourself a job, and we'll talk about how that will actually help you instead 1,000 times more than just trying to go ahead and grab up some $25 commissions, because it's not gonna change your life, friend. I appreciate your entrepreneurial spirit, but I think you're a little bit too early for that one. So now when you're pretty new to this whole game here and you're just starting out and you're just going to be going ahead and you're going to be looking around online, you're going to be looking around at all your influences, and you might feel a little bit overwhelmed on what to do. Or you might even think oh, well, I used to want to do this, but now maybe I should do that. Or everybody's doing this and maybe I need to go that way too. And then you're gonna look on social media, and we'll definitely hit on that, so hold on for that one. But here's the problem that exists. You're going to try this and try that and do this and do that, and that might not be exactly what you actually want. So one of the biggest things I want to encourage you right now is actually do what you want. It sounds so basic and so simple and so easy that it can't be true, right? And you'll never get success off of just doing one thing that you actually like. But that's actually the truth. It's just that simple, okay? It's literally like my entire platform. When you think about every single big company, when you think about every single big artist that you follow, they got noticed for doing one thing. So the thing that I want to encourage you to do is this: just do the thing that you like, okay? You forcing yourself to actually go through all of the insane intellectual, emotional, creative labor that's involved with creating a single art piece, and then you not even liking it, you not even throwing your heart into it, that's not gonna help you long term. What that instead is going to do is going to push you to being inauthentic, and you don't wanna do that, trust me, friend, okay? And I think that you have a lot of influences in your life that are gonna try and tell you that you should do this, or you should do that, or this is the safe route, this is the realistic route, and we'll talk about all that too today. So just be aware at the outset, my friend. That's never a good long-term strategy. That is a horrible short-term strategy. And consider this: what if you're doing a type of art that you don't actually like, and then you still don't get any reception? There's no parade, there's no fanfare, nobody cares. Then what? Now you literally have wasted your time twice. So instead, just wholly dive into everything that you like. And like for me, I used to love to make comics, and I used to love to make my own manga, and I used to love to make my own characters. I used to love to make my own stories. And it's because of that I have such a great love and appreciation of this craft, and everybody that puts their heart and soul into it, and why I love working with people that do this too. And I want that for you too, because at the end of the day, you want to sustain your passion, don't you, for this? How are you gonna do that if you don't even like it? It's like being married to somebody that you hate. Now, talk about the biggest influence that you're gonna have in your life, and especially if you're a young artist, especially if you're new to this, and especially if you're still living with your family. Let me just tell you about one of the most toxic influences on your artistry, which is most certainly going to be your parents. And I'm sorry to say that. I don't know what your relationship is like with them, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. But parents do not encourage artistry. I can cite this as being a professional educator for the last 15 years in public schools, and parents just don't do it. And here's why: is because they're gonna wanna push you to be realistic. They're gonna wanna push you to be safe. They're gonna wanna push you into, maybe you shouldn't do this, or like, maybe you should try this, maybe you should try engineering, maybe you should try chemistry, maybe you should try math, maybe you should try and do this and be a that and follow in the family business. And maybe they're gonna tell you things like, that's not really what we do, that's not what our family does, or you can do better than that. Or they're gonna try and treat it like it's some type of juvenile, like childish endeavor. Have you ever felt like this too? Listen, I've even had people tell me that their parents actually collected their artwork and burned it, ripped it up, threw it away. Has this been your experience too? Listen, this is such like a big topic. I'm trying to keep this succinct for this video, but if you want to see an entire video on this topic, I could really launch into it. But here's the thing I just want to let you know at the outset, is that you should not listen to your parents when it comes to artistry. Does that mean that it gives you permission to now just be a complete potato of life and just live in their basement and just do nothing? No, it doesn't, friend. But what I'm basically saying to you is this: your parents most likely are not artists, they're not involved in the arts, maybe not even an appreciator of art in general. And so therefore, why would you want to follow their advice? Would you follow fitness advice from someone that's in terrible health? Would you follow financial advice from somebody who's in absolute financial ruin? Would you follow marital advice from someone that has been divorced 4 times? So why are you following the advice of somebody that is not even in the field that you want, doing the thing that you want, enjoying the thing that you want? It just doesn't make sense, y'all. And here's the thing, what it really comes down to. I just want to put this out there. If somebody ever tells you to be realistic, what they're really telling you is that they don't believe in you. And that's based on not cruelty, but it's just based on the fact that they can't see themselves doing what you're doing right now. And so if you really want your parents or anybody in your life to appreciate you, here's what I want to tell you, is you have to build that confidence with them by showing them. Show them what you can do. Show them how you've improved. Show them how you've been able to go ahead and actually turn this into something sustainable. Because I tend to find that families have a really hard time believing your mouth, but they have a really easy time believing the fruits of your labor. Have you considered that? All right, artists, so let me just ask you a big question. Do you think that you're Jin Sun Woo? Do you think that you are the solo leveling equivalent of artists? Because one of the worst things that you can do at this point in your life is to especially think that you need to go at this all by yourself. To think that you are somehow going to go ahead and create the best version of every single thing that you ever want to do all by yourself. That's not to say that you shouldn't invest into yourself. I'm going to also advise you today about what not to do while you're doing that, because there's a lot of them. But at the same time, you have to just accept this, that being an artist means that you want to be part of a community. And one of the worst things that I used to do when I was young, I used to just wholly bubble up and just only exist within the glass jar of my thoughts, and I didn't share my work, and I didn't actually seek out critique. Or here's another gem too. Do you get mad at critique? Because we'll talk about that in a second too. If you only do what you're doing and only do as well as you currently can do, and you only accept your own advice, then you can never, ever expect to grow beyond what you're currently getting right now. Or past a certain point, you will only get marginal improvements from there. It's inevitable. So what I want to encourage you is to invest into communities, invest into online communities, invest into local communities, invest into places where other artists go, other spaces where they exist, okay? And then also, by the way, I'm going to encourage you this too, you have to get advice from people that are much better than you, because you can't ever get better by only talking to people at your level, because then what that does is it gives you permission to be mediocre. And that's fun. Maybe you do just want to go ahead and just hang out with people that just generally enjoy art, but I'm just going to be honest, like if you really do want to improve and you don't want to stunt yourself, you don't want to stagnate yourself, you have to eventually get outside your comfort zone and ask the people who are much better than you how to do this. And just to give you some great resources right here, you go ahead and enter my Discord community totally free, and you're gonna love it. It's awesome. And hey, if you also want more awesome advice like this, make sure you hit that like and subscribe, because I'm coming at you every single week to help you out in this journey. But y'all, you can't make it coming into this art dungeon alone. You need companions. Now, this next one I see all too often, especially for people that just graduate from art school, especially from people that are really getting into this art thing, but they just can't quite make it into a field. And is this you? Did you graduate from animation school and now you don't have a job? Or did you graduate with a degree in illustration and you just can't seem to bust into the industry? Or are you just hustling on the side? Or did you just maybe think about it at some point, like, maybe I should just give up this thing? I don't know, go work at Starbucks, go work here, go work there at some unfulfilling place. Well, my friend, here's the problem that I'm going to say happens to a lot of young artists and newer artists into this one, and also just artists trying to make it in here. Why don't you just think about doing art as a part-time opportunity for you? And I think that what this does, and the problem that I always notice is that there's this black and white version of what you tend to think art success is like. You're either in the art industry working for Riot Games or you're not doing anything. And that's so weird. Why would you think that way, okay? Just to be honest with you, only 1% of the entire global population classifies himself as an artist. And you have chosen to be amongst those amazing 1% of people. So then therefore, why don't you do what 99% of people don't do, which is actually do something on the side, and then that can evolve itself or become a better version of a part-time opportunity. Y'all, this is what I did. I worked a full-time job and built my current business over the last 10 years into what it is today. And it's much more robust, of course, than when I started it. And honestly, for the first 5 years, I was figuring things out until it got to this current space and place. But it's also because of this that I've been able to give out advice just like this that actually helps people just like you, friend. But y'all, don't get defeated that you have to work at Starbucks, because when you're done with Starbucks, you can then go home and work on your art. Don't be upset that you have to work a full-time office job and then go home and create art, because most people will just go home and be a complete slug and do absolutely nothing in their life and just numb themselves out of their own reality and trying to create a better version of it. That doesn't have to be you. And the other thing that you want to think about is, how many times have you heard from people that they turned their part-time passion into their paycheck? Don't feel bad that your passion isn't your paycheck. Sometimes your paycheck supports your passion too, especially if you're a hobbyist right now. Think about it like that. Like maybe you just work that full-time job that you don't even like, but then you get to come home and you have all your materials and you have your sick layout and you have your great desktop setup and you have everything that you want, and that is how you unwind from it. So either your passion is your paycheck or your paycheck supports your passion. How does that sound? Because I'm gonna be honest, I would be a much more miserable human being right now in this moment in time if I never built a part-time art business into what it is today. All right, so I'm gonna hit you with a really big burning question that's kind of been on my mind lately, and I tend to notice a lot of artists talk about this. So let me just straight up ask you this. Are you just unlucky? Are you just that person that's just like, you know what? I wasn't born in the right place at the right time, to the right family, looking the right way, feeling this way, feeling that way. I didn't have the opportunities, I didn't have the money, I don't have this, and I don't have that. Dang it me, I'm just so unlucky. Is this you? Okay, so what I really want to let you know is at this present moment in time, you might not have a lot of opportunities, you might not have a lot of resources, you might not have as much of an advantage as some other people do. But to that extent, as a newer young artist, here's just what I want to go ahead and tell you, because I was put into similar challenging situations as you, okay? So what? Who cares? The only person in this world that cares about your disadvantages, the only person in this world that's going to go ahead and enable you to just go ahead and give this thing up is you. So don't sit around and wait for opportunities. Don't sit around and be that person who's just, where's the luck bus? When's it pulling into station here? When is this going to happen for me? Oh, but it will be so much better when I get to this place. Oh, it could be so much better if I was born rich. And I could even put this into myself as an art YouTuber here. At my current place in time, I've been going at this for 4 years with my current subscriber count down there, and I hope that you're one of them. I could look at this and be like, dang man, if only I was a young, pretty girl, maybe then people would want to watch me a little bit more. Maybe my channel would want to take off. I could go ahead and do that too, but nope, I'm a 39-year-old man up in here that's just trying to help you out. So what I want to encourage you to do is to make your opportunities. Don't sit around, wait for them. Don't bemoan your current circumstances, because it's not going to help you, friend. Don't wait for a better season of your life to go ahead and start that manga. Do it now. Don't wait to go ahead and start to learn how to do character design. Do it now. Don't wait to start to learn how to do 3D modeling because it's not the best season of your life. Do it now, because here's one common thing that I tend to notice is that I guarantee you, if you keep on telling yourself that you're not lucky, that you're not privileged, that you don't have this and you don't have that right now, and you don't start working towards it anyways, in 10 years, you will be in the exact same place as you're in right now, doing the exact same thing, talking the exact same way, bemoaning the same exact circumstances, but 10 years old. Do you really, really want that for yourself, friend? Because if I followed that too, I would not be where I am. I would not be at the happiness level that I am right now with this too. And I would have a lot less opportunities. But that all just starts and ends with the fact that I didn't wait for the luck bus to pull in the station to finally bless me with it. I just went ahead and I nabbed it myself, because luck is not something that's actually real and tangible. It's just a phantom that you believe in. Now, as a young artist or somebody that's just getting into this, right? You definitely have the things that you love. And look, me too. When I was young, when I was just starting out, and as I go through this, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my journey here too and how this relates to this. But what I want to encourage you to do is to not get locked into only what you're doing, only the genre, only the type, only the style that you're currently doing right now. Because if you do that, be honest, you're really gonna shortchange yourself as you go through life. And so a critical error that I notice a lot of young artists make is that they don't ever expand their skill sets. And I just remember when I was younger, I used to be a huge anime fan, and therefore I used to love to make my own anime. Like, if you didn't know this, and you can actually go back and see some of my really, really old stuff if you follow my social medias, then you're gonna notice that I used to be an anime artist. Like, I really thought that that's what I wanted to do, and I used to only follow that style. When I was in high school, like, that was all I was interested in. And every single time that anybody would expose me to anything, I would be like, nope, that's absolutely not me. Nope, I'm not interested in that because it's not anime. And I used to look at different examples and be like, how do I make that more anime? How do I make trees more anime? How do I make that train more anime? How do I make that cat look more anime? And if it didn't follow that criteria, bam, checked out. And that was a really foolish thing for me to do. Like, I would be like, nope, this realism thing, no, which is kind of ironic because you look at my artwork now, right? But one of the worst things that you can do is just to never expand your skill set. So what I want to really encourage you to do is to just be a sponge at this point, okay? Try different things, even try different media. A lot of times people think that, like, oh my God, I only draw, I don't paint. Learn to paint. It helps you in drawing. Oh my God, I only am a 2D artist. I can't be 3D. Okay, cool. Try sculpting. Try 3D sculpting. Try working with clay. Because one thing I want to bless you with the knowledge of that I've come to understand in my practices and in my research too, is that all forms of art bleed into each other. There is a knowledge bleed effect that happens with art, where when you get good with one thing, it helps you become more proficient with another. You want to think of this as like, if you're a video game character, you're gaining XP from multiple different places and spaces, and it's helping you to grow an overall different set of skill sets, okay? How's that sit with you? It's raising your stats, see that? But if you only lock yourself into only what you want to do, only how you want to do it, with only the things that you want to do, it will really, really stunt your growth. And then here's another thing I want to also challenge you with here. If you want to get better, if you're really interested in improving, friend, you have to mix in the things that you don't want to do with the things that you do want to do. So just as an example, typically in my mentorship, I help a lot of people do backgrounds because everybody's all about those characters, but it's like the second you put them into environment, or you're like, how do I do this? Or do you always just have like ghosty floating characters out there? How do they fit into there, okay? These are some of the things that you really want to focus on. See how that works? Now let's talk about one of the biggest thieves of joy here within the art community, and I'm going to say that it's probably something that you're heavily involved in right now. And one of the biggest things that you're going to hear from pretty much every single artfluencer, probably except for myself, is that you need to be on social media, and that your social media presence is the key to you either failing or succeeding. And especially if you want to grow this into something, this is where you're told, oh, you have to do this. And typically, doesn't it always sound like this? Tell me down below. Like, is this you? Have you always heard this mantra of like, okay, if you want to go ahead and get commissions, just go ahead, post your art on social media, and then you're rich. Or, hey, if you want to sell your product, post your art on social media, and then you're rich. And then you're like, what was step 2 again? Like, how do we go from post to rich? I don't understand how that works. And that's one of the common fallacies that everybody is sold on and everybody is bought rather brainlessly too. And that's this idea and this philosophy and this practice that like, if you're just gonna wholly invest in social media, it's gonna work out for you. But I can tell you from experience and from the experience of watching a lot more people fail on social media than succeed on social media, it's not. Okay? And just to be honest, I don't invest into social media. And although I'm here on YouTube, I'm also not trying to push my commissions onto you, am I now? But if you're gonna invest into social media, here's one thing I just wanna free you from and let you know, is that honestly, if I was in your place right now, I would just focus on pleasing myself before I worry about pleasing an audience or pandering to an audience or asking an audience to send me money or to tip me or buy me a coffee or whatever. That is not the point, because again, that kind of goes back to an earlier point here, which is that you're poisoning your overall potential, and then you're only going to steer yourself into doing things that people will pay for instead of what you're going to pay yourself for, which will pay much bigger dividends over time, by the way, because I want you to think of you as an investment of yourself. And just be honest with you, if you're going to overinvest in social media, you're going to underinvest into yourself with this at this current moment in time, because you're brand new to this. And then let's just be honest too. While you're on social media, you're gonna see other artists, you're gonna see what they're doing, you're gonna see the opportunities that they're getting, you're gonna see all the jobs that they do, and they're gonna be promoting everything that they're doing. And then you're gonna feel bad about yourself, aren't you? Or do you already feel this way right now, I wonder, huh? Because if that's you, friend, you're just forcing yourself into a negative comparison trap that honestly, you don't need. If you do feel this way, here's what I wanna advise you on. Just take a complete social media break for the next 30 days. And so for all those reasons, don't overinvest into social media. And especially like if you want commissions, please for the love of God, don't go to social media. It's a stupid place. It doesn't work for anybody. And that's honestly why I produce content like I do. And you will find no greater wealth of a library of content for how to actually get commissions without any social media reach than right here on this channel, because that's literally what I've made this entire platform on. And I've helped thousands of people just like you do it too. So friend, let me just free you of this. You don't need social media. Social media is not going to go ahead and propel you to be the best artist in the world when you're not challenging yourself to do that in the first place. All right, so this one especially goes out to my digital art friends. So come on in, listen, Uncle Sean here, because I want to advise you on one of the worst practices that I see all the time. It's going to be a huge money pit for you too. All right, tell me down below here. How many different programs have you tried? How many different programs have you used now? Come on, let me hear it. Because I want to know from you right now, like how many different software suites have you tried? Or how many plugins have you bought? Or how many brushes have you bought? Or how many of this have you bought? Or how many of these have you invested? How often have you gone ahead and been like, ooh, I want to try Credit. Ooh, I want to try Clip Studio Paint. Ooh, I want to try Procreate. Ooh, I want to try Photoshop. Ooh, I want to try this. I want to try that. And what I tend to notice is a really fatal flaw of a lot of newer artists is that you're trying to switch programs because it seems flashy, because it seems trendy, and because you think that somehow one program is going to go ahead and give you a huge edge and advantage over another one. And I just want to tell you, as somebody that has used a lot of them and been doing this for a long time here, that's not true. Y'all, the easiest thing that you need to learn to do, if this is you right now, stop and just invest into one freaking software suite for, like, honestly, I know this number might scare you here, but for the next 5 years. It's not going to make that big of a difference for you. It is a very super marginal difference, all right? Listen, I work with a lot of people with every software suite under the sun in my mentorship. I'm gonna tell you this, it's the same. It's basically the same exact thing. I'm a Photoshop user. I've been using it for like literally 30 years at this point. It's the same thing as everything else. Every other program, copy Photoshop. It's the same exact thing. Unless you're 3D sculpting and you're animating, that could be a little bit different. I got you on that. So if you're just a 2D digital artist right now, it's not gonna help you. And the same thing goes with brushes. Everyone's always like, oh, what brush are you using? What brush is that? Where can I buy your brush? Can I find your brush? Where do I get your brushes? On your Gumroad, on your Patreon? It doesn't matter. You just need to focus into learning how to paint. You need to focus into learning how to draw. It is literally the same. And I know that if you're coming from a traditional background into a digital background, listen, no program's gonna help you. It just sucks. There's a big steep learning curve, and if you've been in this boat before, please let everybody know about it down below, because I remember that I used to feel so good and clean and crisp with all my lines and all my shading, all my values when I was a traditional artist, and then it took me like a good solid 2 years to really learn how to do that as well in digital art. And please let everybody down here in the comments know if that's been your struggle too, because it's so common. It's just a part of what happens here. But don't overinvest into different programs. It's not gonna make that big of a difference. Now, this next tip is gonna really probably blow your mind, and I'm gonna say it's something that most artists, especially newer artists, are wholly deficient at. And what this entails is drawing from your imagination, okay? But here's the problem that I tend to notice all the time, which is that you don't actually understand what an imagination is, and then you overinvest into your immature imagination, okay? And hold on, because I'm gonna tell you exactly what that means. So what I mean when I say that is that your imagination, you want to think of this as like a garden, okay? And when you're first starting out, there's like 1 or 2 plants in there, not a sprawling Amazon forest of them, okay? And that's just simply because of this. What I tend to notice most newer artists do and younger artists do is that they will over prioritize, and they're gonna overinvest into their immature imaginations where they haven't exposed themselves to ideas. They haven't exposed themselves to enough things to actually be able to cultivate that, to fertilize that garden, to grow into this huge sprawling field of amazing ideas. And so what you're gonna do is you're just gonna only work out of your mind. But what I really wanna let you know is, based on research, is that that is the worst place for you to exist. That's the worst, most deficient way for you to exist. And so that's where I want to encourage you. You need to make sure that you're using references. And just to put this to point, you might be like, oh my God, but that taints my imagination. But no, it doesn't, because when you actually follow the research, when you actually follow what people have actually found out about this, here's one simple truth. Think about the word imagination. What is the root word of imagination? You're going to say imagine. No, smaller than that, ruder than that, image. You cannot image something. You cannot imagine something that you cannot image. If you've never seen it, never been exposed to it, you cannot hope to recreate it. Now, the reason why you think this is probably because you've seen other artists, way more proficient artists than you, go ahead and just like fire out this amazing thing. But I just want to let you know, this is how they grew. So what I really want to push you to do is to at least do a 50-50 split, so that you are using references and you're also then drawing from your imagination. And if you're going to create your own works too, this doesn't stop either, okay? So like, for example, I never start any artwork, and in my practices, I encourage everybody that is my student and everybody that is a member of my mentorship to go ahead and use no less than 15 to 20 references for every single artwork. What that does is it feeds you possibilities. It does not narrow you down. It locks you in to make sure that you're actually going to produce what you want at a much higher level, and it also feeds you more ideas beyond what you just thought. You see, cultivating an imagination is not about just over-investing into you, because if you do that, I can only promise you this: you're never going to come to new ideas unless you expose yourself to them. How's that sit with you? Now, as a young artist, I feel for you so bad, and I understand every single pitfall that comes into your path. And especially, y'all, if you're a young artist in your teens, if you're a young artist and you're in your 20s, let me just ask you this: like, how would you like to avoid being completely disappointed in yourself, 10 years from right now, because there's so many things that artists in their 20s and teens do that they don't understand that they're setting themselves up for at this present moment in time. And to tell you all about that, I made this video right here, so go ahead, go check it out. And this helped you, please share it with somebody that you know. Thanks so much and see you next time.